Guys hear us now? Check microphone.
Can you hear us? Go.
Yeah. This is Neo from Parts Unknown.
Genetix up in the lab finally.
Yeah.
Nice.
Genetix in the house for once in a long while. So yeah.
It's been a long time coming for sure. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that we've definitely been wanting to have you on for a while and kind of talk about your whole history. And people ask about, I think people always assume Neo is like the other half of Destiny Labs.
I know, he's a heck of a beat maker for sure.
Yeah.
But, I know about the least about music of anything. So,
I know, and
I think
I lack the knowledge that you have there. So that's why I'm not as on as many times as you are. So there you go.
Well, I think we all got different skills.
Sure.
Yeah. There you go. Got the skills to pay the bills, but we're not really.
Yeah, we're trying anyways. But so how do you want to start, man?
So I think we just basically, what I want to do is kind of get your background a little bit, kind of let you share your testimony of yourself, how you grew up, where you grew up, and then eventually get into how we met and formed Destiny Labs. So tell everybody, a little about yourself and where you grew up.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah. Portland, Oregon. I was a Catholic, so I went to the Catholic church with my family. My family was, really devoted, and I love the Catholic Church for what it is. My grandmother was a rock, and basically, I think I got out of a lot of trouble because she was that rock and always prayed for us. I didn't necessarily have a relationship with Jesus because it was like you had to go do your Hail Marys or go talk to a father or whatever. It wasn't open the Bible and reach out and try to reach Jesus yourself. So I definitely knew of God, and I was in situations where I called on God, and He definitely was there. But I just grew up and was starting to do music with my cousin, BTY Brandon, kind of just stuff for fun mainly. And I went to a party and met you. I remember going and asking people if anybody raps, and I did a beatbox. We started, going back and forth and made a friendship there. And it was a blessing. And throughout time, the things that we used to see, and I know you went back home and started talking to your dad and your brother about evolution and, the deceptions and stuff that were coming. And we always used to see one world and the new age, you can become gods. And time and time again, we kept seeing the same thing. And I kept getting closer and closer and closer, until I accepted Christ, which, like I said, I always knew God was there, but I was baptized as a baby. And I don't think, I think you should be baptized as an adult, so you really know what that is. And so I went to Ontario, and, your family and your community really blessed me. And the pastor at the time baptized me at your church at Butte. And, every day is a journey, and every day, we all get closer to God and learn something new. And I just thank God and thank you, for being such a good brother.
Yeah, no problem. I think, you remember how this is all destiny. That's what we always talked about. We'd always use that word, like destiny meant to be. That was always our phrase.
Exactly.
And back in the day when we first met, I was a believer, but I was going through my prodigal son journey. So the music that we're making is just kind of, memorized
Beastie Boys and partying and stuff. Yeah.
So it was kind of
what I was going to ask.
Other people's stuff. Not really serious. I know BTY, your cousin, was a lot more serious about making music than us. So he tried to put on some different shows and do recordings of us and all that stuff. But for us, it was just always, at least for me, I was just kind of in it for the fun of it. I didn't want to do it for a living necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I did want to take it seriously, but I wasn't as devoted as my cousin, and he now has a band that's phenomenal, and he does music like Traveling Wilburys, the Beatles, pop rock, very, very talented. But yeah, I mean, we did music like the Beastie Boys. I grew up on Beastie Boys and Run DMC, and then I even liked Belle Biv DeVoe, and that type of singing and stuff. But
who is your main musical?
That's what I was going to ask.
Inspiration.
Well, he wore one glove and stood up on his toes for a little bit there. Yes, Michael Jackson. I loved Michael Jackson. Allegedly. Loved his music, of course.
So do you have any videos of you doing your Michael Jackson impersonation?
My family does. Somewhere they do. They said that they had a talent show and everybody loved it. And I had the long hair and I was skinny back then, a lot skinnier. And I wanted to be Michael Jackson at one point. The old Michael Jackson that nobody knew of now, obviously. The dancer, the singer. He was an inspiration. He still is some of it in my music. I like the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles, again, have the cultic, but I just grew up in the 70s. My uncle and my dad used to play a lot of 70s music. So that was another inspiration. ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Jeff Lynne is one of my favorites, which I just got to see a couple years ago, thankfully, before all this crazy stuff. 70 years old and still making hits. I mean, That's it. I mean, unbelievable. So if you guys haven't heard, check out Jeff Lynne and Electric Light Orchestra.
I remember your favorite Christian rapper was Carmen. If I remember,
you're way off. It was actually DC Talk. I'm not gonna. I think that was yours.
Carmen just died. I think.
Did he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
just this last week.
Oh, no way.
Oh, that's terrible.
We used to talk about, Carmen, I'm 50, I'm 60 and I rap. Carmen, I'm 50 and I rap. And here we are.
Now, that's
50
us.
and
What do you mean? We are Carmens. We're the Carmen rappers.
I know. That's what's so hilarious.
Oh, my goodness. No, my mom loved him. And, he was doing what he did for God. And so, I was actually into DC Talk before they broke up. And that's, Mercy Me actually is one of my favorites to date. They always got good music. They're not rap.
A lot of big hip hop inspiration there, right?
Yeah, Mercy Me, yo.
You and me both. I mean, that's kind of the same with me. People are always asking, so who's your greatest hip hop inspiration? It's like, man, I mean, I wasn't that huge into music. I mean, I listened to the basic stuff. I was into, House of Pain, Cypress Hill.
Me too.
Just basic stuff. But then when I really started getting into rap is when I found out there was like underground kind of hip hop and more of that kind of grimy stuff like Dirt and some of this more
Praying Mantis.
Lyrical style of rap, that I really, really liked. And there was a few rappers back in the day that were very lyrical, but not as many as today. It looks like we lost Neo.
I see that.
Hopefully he'll come back there, but yeah, it was funny to kind of think about back in the day. The first. Now, I remember back in the day as well in Portland before we rarely got into making Christian hip hop. We did, have talks about the one world agenda, and something that I would always tell you is like, it's all one world. There he is. Okay, Neo's back.
I'm back.
All right.
It's all one world, and the people be listening.
Yeah, exactly. It's all one world, and the people be listening. That was like a thing that we would talk about way back since like the early '90s. Is this idea that have you noticed? Everybody always talks about we are one world. Earth. Is
NWO
one.
Wasn't that a rap band too? NWO.
NWA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, NWA. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Dr. Gray. Then. But time and time again. What was that video that you got that had the pyramids and the occult? That really
So that was another
Like,
thing that kind of
triggered.
got us is when we found that was in the early, maybe late 90s or very
late
early
90s,
2000s.
early 2000s.
It
Yeah.
was a set of VHS tapes. I still actually have them, and about Atlantis, and also about the White Brotherhood of the basically the Illuminati type thing. And it was literally made by a group of like Illuminati type occult people. And if you go on to, you can actually watch these videos online. And this guy called himself Elias, I believe, if I remember right. Elias.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
And they actually had tons of video footage of them going into these white pyramids and performing these rituals of all these people dressed in blue paint and really, really weird stuff, and talking about how it's
completely naked, actually.
Yeah. They were talking about how it was all connected to Hitler and the Vril Society. And this was way back in the day before I even knew anything about those things. But it really, really kind of, was one of those things that was a concrete evidence, kind of like when me and Neo found the satanic ritual site. It was concrete evidence that there is indeed people out there that do these things, and I've got evidence for it, and a lot of people, just discount that stuff. Like, it's all hearsay, conspiracy theories, or it doesn't really happen. Satanic panic. No, the stuff is for real. It really does happen. And we've had firsthand experience in seeing these things. So
yeah, it was very eyes wide shut, but real with real people. And they wanted you to conform to this. I mean, they had symbols all over the lady's breast and these daggers. And I mean, it was the real deal. And it was like, whoa, I mean, how do we stumble into that? Yeah, I think it was actually at a thrift store or something.
It was at a thrift shop where I found it. Yeah, it was. And I thought, oh, Atlantis, I'm kind of interested in Atlantis and that kind of stuff, because I've always been into the weird paranormal stuff. And then it just, really, really kind of lit a fire to investigate the connections of all these things. Because one of the things they were talking about was the UFOs, the aliens. They were talking about, transhuman evolution and how that they will eventually evolve into these light beings and all this stuff. I mean, it was some creepy stuff. So,
I remember we listened to Chuck Missler and Kent Hovind with the evolution thing, and that just blew my. That was the foundation of Christianity. There is a creator, and it really created that God was real, because that's been a lie that's been told to us so much that evolution we got here from, and that's, I think, what your songs first started with was the evolution. And now we've got another one. I think that the climate change is the new lie that they're using to try to eliminate carbon, which the last carbon emitters are going to be people, because you breathe out carbon every time you breathe out carbon. And that's the 2030 agenda, depopulation. And they're spreading that line. People are believing it. People are believing that that CO2 is poisonous. And just like, we've got, your music has kind of evolved too, from going from that foundational truth that there is a creator, and it's provable. Even the scientists today don't believe that evolution is real. They know that it's a scam because it's not possible mathematically.
Yeah, they just don't have anything better to replace it with, and they've already got such a big foundation and so many people's, interest and
we're breaking up here, guys.
Economic interest involved that they don't want to change anything. So.
Yeah, I heard you okay, but maybe it's me on my end, so I'm not sure. But yeah, we were having some internet issues, but I can hear everybody pretty good right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's like mid-sentence goes out. I don't know. It's like the last few days, everybody's been having troubles. that I've seen.
Yeah. Seems like every time we do a podcast, we've got
Goodness.
Yeah.
But
now I had a question.
One thing about I just before I forget, like you were saying, they've made this a foundation, this agenda for the climate change, and that there's that's going to be the next deception, and it seems really true because if you remember, Reagan had that famous speech where he said, "I imagine if how all our problems would be shed if we thought there was an enemy, an alien force coming to attack us on Earth, and that all of our nations would unite together to attack this enemy force." Well, the climate is a similar thing, this climate scare and the idea that we must all work together to stop, the ozone layer from being destroyed or whatever it is that they think is going to happen, is a way of just scaring people, unitedly scaring people under one umbrella of belief, under the climate thing. So it is very true. I can see exactly how they can use that, just like evolution as a universal belief that is worldwide. So just wanted to put that.
Oh yeah. I think the way they spread propaganda today is incredible. I think they've perfected the techniques, and they're using the subliminal. If you remember back, you remember the Pokemon. Remember the Pokemon commercials?
Yeah.
How they got caught with the subliminal messages. I mean, I think all that was all practice, predictive programming, and they have just revolutionized and perfected brainwashing. And there's about 30% of our population that are completely brainwashed by a lying media, which is completely state-run and controlled. Our country is in a very tough time right now because of the color revolution that's taken place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think they've got like MK Ultra type technology right now that is literally influencing people almost on a demonic way. You see these people's reaction since 2016 when Trump became president, and something switch was flipped where suddenly people literally started hating their families and turning against, people they loved based on political who they voted for. That's never really happened, that I remember it being this like kind of crazy where people have just become like
80s and 90s. My dad used to go have beers and play pool with both sides. We used to go have barbecues. We used to go do events. Nobody hated
agree to disagree
each other. I mean, that's what America's about. I'm more bipartisan personally.
Clinton Bush years, people could kind of agree to disagree and just move on. But something kind of happened in 2016, and we never really talked much about politics in our music until that kind of happened, until I started seeing, okay, we're seeing like literally the demonic realm influencing all kinds of things inside politics. And this is affecting us. And this is something that is, biblical in a way. So it needs to be talked about,
I think they're just stacking lie upon lie upon lie, and people's entire foundation of their belief systems have been completely corrupted. They started with there is no God by making people believe that there's evolution when it's provably wrong. And people think about it for just a moment, a rock came alive. That's their premise, that a rock came alive by being rained on for millions of years, and that nothing exploded. A dot of no size but infinite mass exploded, and here we are. That's crazy. And now they've gone to climate change. They've gone to projection. That's the big thing today, is that the one political party accused the other political party of exactly what they are in fact doing, provably doing, and yet people believe that lie. And they're calling people the worst things. Everything's racist nowadays. So it's all about divide and conquer. Everything's, you're a Nazi if you believe in this party. You're a racist if you don't believe like we do. So it's just, there's no dialogue like Genetix was saying, that you used to be able to have dialogue with the other side. That That can't happen.
Mhm.
They are so brainwashed.
Yeah.
You can't even talk. I love to talk to the other side. I
Yeah,
love
me
to
too.
debate with them, but they won't do it.
They
They
won't
just
talk about it.
they get so triggered and so angry that they just
Mhm.
name call. It's always name calling every
Yeah.
single time. They cannot form a conscious statement anymore. It's just it's almost it's insane. But where we've kind of concluded, we've talked about this many times, that it has to be either demonic possession or unbelievably powerful brainwashing, or a
Yeah.
combination of the two.
Yeah, a combination of the two. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, this you know, if people don't know about this Pokemon commercial, at one point they put out a commercial through Pokemon that literally made a number of children go into having convulsions and
To shock, yeah.
and into shock. Like literally, it did something to their system through these flashing lights, and that was something particularly created on purpose, not an accident, created on purpose to influence in a certain way. And like Neo was saying, this was some sort of test, but maybe, you know, they didn't have it quite right or whatever.
Oh, they've
But
caught
imagine,
Nickelodeon, they've caught Disney on these little flashes, little bleeps, if you slow it down, where there's all-seeing eyes and, you know, everything you could think of, all the symbols. But we actually skipped a question from Neo. I want to get back to him. You had a question, Neo, and we skipped you?
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask about, you know, when you were going to school, did you get like any musical training? Were you in like band or singing or anything like that? Or was it just all things that you did on your own in your spare time? Or did you get like any, you know, musical training on things? Because this is the first time I've heard your story about how you guys met. You know, I've just heard little bits and pieces.
You know, honestly, my grandfather was a piano player, and that was the first time I ever played piano. It was just like chopsticks, and then I learned, you know, Imagine or whatever. So it was basically self-taught. And then my cousin and I literally started with a drumstick in boxes on a tape, you know, boom box, and doing that. And then we went to where you would have the double cassettes and you'd take a beat and you'd have the instrumental, or you'd have the blank tape, and then you record and loop and make your loops.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went way back in, nah, man, I mean,
old
God
school
just blessed
way.
me. Yeah. Way old school talking about, but yeah. So, I mean, my grandfather, I would say, was my musical influence, as far as putting my hands to the keyboard.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, definitely have a God-given talent doing the piano and playing by ear type of thing. And, you know, people always like ask us, like, act like we're some sort of we're still trying to figure things out as far as like all the, like, how to record.
Absolutely. I have programs that I have. I mean, I'd love for an engineer to come in here and say, okay, Genetix, let's really get into this. Because I know there's stuff that I've never even used. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We
literally make it up as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's like it comes out, and I'm like, if you like it, man, that's God, man. I mean, it's us, of course, but God gives us the abilities. I just wanted to go over on PC. I use FL Studio's Producer Edition. I've used that for the most part until the last couple years, which I use an iMac Logic X Pro. And then I get plugins, and then we get our voice clips, you know, from different pastors or whatever, and use our music that way. But yeah, man, I mean, again, Destiny, how everything came together. That's why we came up and stuck with the name Destiny Lab. Is it all came together like Destiny?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I not only never had any music training, I was never really even interested in all that kind of stuff. You can remember when we first started, I couldn't even tell the difference between an MP3 and a WAV file. And I was like, what does it matter? And I'd make really, really crappy recordings. And I didn't really care, because I was just like, it sounds good to me, you know? So it was, we've definitely grown a little over the years.
Well, yeah, I remember our dad, you know, Ark, he was very musical, very good singer.
Yeah.
He could play the piano by just by ear too.
Yeah.
And I didn't definitely get any of the musical bit. I tried to take piano lessons for a little bit and the trumpet or something, but I just never was interested. So I'm glad that you were able to get some of those skills from Dad and continue on with that, because it's been really cool. Because I remember we were all super impressed when those songs came out, and then just the words, the way you could tell a story in your songs was just amazing. And it's still happening today, and how you can tie everything together and then get, everything to sound good, and both of you guys working together has just been amazing.
Yeah. No, thanks. It definitely has been a
Good
blessing.
Person Test, man, was one of the ones that people really went back to. Good Person Test, how you told that story, of being asked, "Are you a sinner?" And I thought it was Neo that really liked that back in the day. Did you like that one with Ray Comfort?
Yeah, I did. That was because it went from, like you're saying, Mr. Hovind, the creation evolution debate, and then it went into witnessing with Ray Comfort and what's the other guy's name? I don't know, his sidekick, the younger guy.
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron. Yeah, Kirk Cameron. Yeah. And those were made. It's just whatever was kind of on our mind, we were kind of into at the time. It seems like both, even though me and Ark were living at different places, we're kind of into the same kind of stuff the whole time. Yeah. And then awesome. I'd say, "Hey, have you heard of this guy?" And you go, "Oh man, that's pretty cool." And then he'd start listening to that stuff, and then it would get into the music. And so it was kind of like this connection, even though we weren't kind of together at that time. And then kind of evolved into the podcast. It's been great to put a lot of things together, and it just kind of just rolls with the times. It's whatever the Holy Spirit wants to do, and it seems like that's been happening.
Yeah, exactly. All in God's timing. It's not something that we could have been predicted or that we could have saw coming. Because I didn't see it coming. But you're right. Our dad's a really good singer. We grew up with him singing in church all the time and at weddings and funerals and things. And he needs
to be on a track.
Yeah, there you go.
Getting him actually kind of cool.
Singing. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
There's one track that I thought that Ark had his wife singing on it, but it wasn't.
No,
I guess it was just
Genetix's girl. Genetix's
fiance. That's my fiance.
Oh, okay. Lucy. Yeah, that sounded pretty cool.
Lucy, yeah, she did an amazing job.
Yeah, we want to work on some new ones as well. And that brings I will be making beats and selling them. I know I should have been doing that for years, but if you could contact me at Genetix Beats, or actually genetix7@gmail.com if you have any interest that way. But I will be making a page, and we'll be putting links with Digging for the Truth and on our page here shortly. So
awesome.
Yeah, right. And I want to get Lucy singing on some, like, you'll basically pay for one beat, but if you want to hook with singing, you could have that as well.
Nice. Yeah, she's an amazing singer, really has a lot of talent, so loved having her part of that as well. So I'm trying to think of the name of the song. It was
Only You?
Only You. There you go.
Yeah.
That's on
so what about our experiences? I kind of wrote some notes down here, some of the things that we saw when we were in Portland and dealt with.
Yeah, we did have a couple unique experiences, that's for sure. Now, you had some experiences growing up as well. Maybe you should tell those ones first, and then we'll get into our experiences that we had.
Well, I mean, I did have sleep paralysis when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I lived out in the country, and this house that we lived in was my dad, my stepmother, and my uncle and my aunt. It was a big house out in the country. And they actually had seen an apparition of an old man, and it didn't really affect them. I mean, it startled them, and they asked the owners who that was, and they said it was their father. So, it was kind of weird that, okay, there's a ghost here. But one night I woke up to my bed literally shaking, like almost coming off the ground. And
Wow.
I tried to get up. I tried to say something. And again, because of my grandmother, I always remembered, she said, ask for Jesus and tell whatever it is to be gone. And I was trying to do that at the time, but I couldn't get it out. I fought with it for a little bit. And I remember the next morning telling my dad, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, son. That's just your guardian angel."
Oh.
And I thought, well, that's the heck of a way to say hello. I mean, I was terrified. There was more than one spirit there. There was actually another experience that my dad and my stepmother had. They were in bed and they were arguing, I guess, financial stuff, whatever. And they started screaming at each other. And the next thing you knew, there was breathing in both of their ears. They said it was the scariest thing. They were in the dark, and they stopped fighting. And he called the church and the I guess the pastor, whoever, said, "You got something there, and it doesn't want you fighting."
So it's a good guy trying to hey,
I
guys,
believe
stop
so.
fighting.
I believe so, but I think there was different spirits in that house. So that was my first experience with it.
I was being sarcastic.
What's that?
Saying that I was being sarcastic. I'm not saying it was a good guy. I was just being sarcastically saying.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, yeah, like my dad said, guardian angel.
Yeah, no.
No, I knew better. As
Probably
I
just trying to
grew up.
get you not to be freaked out as a little kid.
Yeah. No, I figured that out later. But besides that, at that same house, actually, one more thing, I did see a UFO. It was your typical silver, spear, just kind of spinning and almost like a black hue around it. And it, jetted off in one direction, the other direction, and was gone. I don't know what was going on in that exact house, but I moved and it never followed me. So I don't know. It was just some paranormal things I dealt with. Yeah.
Now,
hey, I wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, just so the readers know, there is a way to test the spirits, and there's 3 verses in 1 John chapter 4. So I'll just read them so everybody can kind of get an idea of how you can determine if a spirit is of God or if it's evil. And I'll just read it. It's 1 John chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. It says this: "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world." So that's the key. You got to say, hey, did Jesus, part of the Godhead, come in the flesh? Did he come to the world to save it? And if they say no, he didn't, it's not a spirit.
And they
from
have
God.
to answer. And they have to answer. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well,
I did have another. Go ahead.
Well, what's fascinating is that that seems the main mission of these channeled entities, demonic beings, alien entities, all these interdimensional beings, is one of the first things they want to tell you. Jesus is not God. You are your own savior. So it seems to be one of the almost primary things on their mind. You'd think that if they're real aliens, they'd come help us cure cancer, give us free energy or some sort of thing that's actually going to help us. But no, their main mission to travel light years away is to tell us that Jesus isn't God. You can be your own savior, and you can evolve like the serpent told you in the garden. Ye shall be as gods. So yeah,
and you've had songs about that. The initial lie, and that how Satan can only counterfeit things, and he's always trying to hijack things of God. And it's just, you see it over and over and over again. Something that is good and wholesome, he hijacks and he infiltrates. He tries to discredit, and it's always the same thing. And we're seeing that everywhere in every single thing. The the big Christian. I mean, Ravi Zacharias, he just died, and apparently he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff with sexual sin. And I thought that guy was amazing. And maybe that was his thorn in the flesh, but that was he had some real things going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's kind of crazy is it seems like every time that people get to a position of influence and power within Christianity, that they have a downfall. They start, seeking their own flesh, or there's been, Jim Baker, Jimmy Swaggart, all these people who have fallen through sexual deviance and getting, up to this higher point. So it's kind of interesting how the enemy just attacks people at that level, always in the same way. But what were we talking about? Oh, we were going to talk about a little bit of our experience later on too.
Yeah.
I want to hear this.
Go ahead.
So now this is what I remember. So I don't remember where we were going, but you and I were driving in a car, and this was outside of
Forest
Aloha,
Grove,
Oregon.
I think, wasn't it, or Loa?
Outside of Aloha, in there was kind of a forested area, like windy roads, and I can't remember if we were going to meet somebody. I don't remember what it was, but we were driving on this windy road, and we're coming up on a corner, and I'm seeing like a bright red kind of glow coming from around the corner before I get there, and I'm thinking, oh, there must be a wreck, or somebody is just stopped in their.
Oh no, we were following my girlfriend at the time, and we thought that was her stoplights, her stop, her brake lights. Yeah. That's what it was. We were following somebody at the time, and so initially that's what we thought it was her brake light. But go ahead.
So as we're coming up around the corner, I start slowing down, and then I realize it's actually coming from a longer distance. This red glow is just super bright, and we come completely around the corner, and about, I don't know, maybe about 25 yards, 30 yards in front of us is literally an orb, like a round ball about the size of a volleyball, just hovering in the middle of the road. And as soon as I catch a glimpse on it, it jets about 5 feet to the right, and then jets straight to the left, all the way through the forest. And as it went through as it went through the forest, you could see the whole trees just bright red, and then follow this beam as it was, because it was going so fast. This red, you could see this flash in the forest, and you could see that flash travel as it went off in a distance. And it was just, and I stopped. I'm just like, what? Did you just see that? And you said that you saw it exactly.
So literally this happened, and nobody's going to believe it, but the radio said 101 UFO.
Yeah,
and that was literally a channel.
KUFO or something like that. And
we're
like, what? No way!
Yeah.
Wow.
So we looked at each other and we're like, I guess we saw that. And the fact that it said 101 KUFO was just so stupid. I was like, what? This is not happening.
I know.
Man.
That was so weird. And then
go ahead.
About a month later, there was like not too far from there was a crop circle. And we went to this crop circle and had our picture taken in this crop circle.
I think that was faked, but
I'm sure it was. But I had to throw it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, because when you first described it, I was saying, that kind of sounds like ball lightning, which is a real phenomenon. But the movement and the color don't match ball lightning, because ball lightning is blue. That blue flame type color, right? And I remember, listening to Art Bell, driving long distance, at night, and you'd hear Art Bell, who was like, super great late night radio to listen to, and he had all kinds of cool guests on. And I remember talking about ball lightning. I go, man, no way. And then now there's video of ball lightning. You can actually watch it. That this phenomena happens somehow. I don't know what it is, but it's
Very rare.
It's rare, but it does happen somehow. But
Yeah, I
this
thought that
sounds
too
different
later.
because it was
this
definitely
red.
red and moving, and it was moving in different, like right angle, like very fast and changing directions as well.
What it reminded me of is almost like somebody using a red laser light, that it moved like that fast, like somebody just go move it to the right and then to the left, like pew, 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 like that fast, and that it was almost just instant, and then you saw the whole flash of this forest, and you could see the trees and the bark of the trees as it went through. It was just, there was no road there. There's no road for it to travel through the forest, and went straight through the forest.
And it was illuminating from the spot too. It wasn't like it was like you're saying, a laser coming from a different point. It was illuminating out from the red ball.
A big ball. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We saw the red illumination before we ever even saw the object coming around the corner. I was thinking there's either somebody stopped, or I almost thought there was like flares, like somebody had
like
a wreck
fire in the sky, actually, like fire in the sky, where they went around the corner and they saw the red glow, and then they obviously saw the spaceship.
Yeah, I've always wondered about like when the Elijah and the prophets of Baal and fire came down from heaven, if that fire looked a little different, or like the Shekinah glory, the fire and the cloud of fire that the Israelites followed while they were wandering in the wilderness, if that was a little bit different colored. And it does kind of, like the rebellion of Korah, I was just reading that this morning, that the earth swallowed up all these men that dishonored Moses and God, and it swallowed them up and took them alive down into the pit, and then covered it up. But then fire came down and burned up their censers, and it was such a hot fire, and God called it a holy fire too. And they had to beat the censers down, the brass censers down, and they actually covered the ark with these sensors. And I'd probably read it a long time ago, but it was just amazing because I read that this morning in devotionals, and it was kind of amazing that now we're talking about those things. But I've wondered about that the fire of God, the burning bush, what would that really look like? Would it be something like you're describing, or is that, or I don't know, it's hard to tell on those kind of things what they would be. But so what do you think?
They always describe it as something actually scary at first. The people see these things like an angel, or they see, the presence of God in some way. At first, it's they're scared.
Oh yeah,
it's so brilliant and overpowering, or and they just fall to their face. So
now, was there any feeling that you got? Did you have a feeling, or were you like mesmerized by it anyway, or is it just like just seeing something, you're just going, whoa, this is crazy, I can't believe it?
Yeah, it kind of happened too quick. I didn't feel any like danger or scared or like an entity or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. It was just so quick that and then like you said, then it said KUFO, and so it just became this like what?
So, but it was so like the exact timing, is what happened. So wow, I hadn't heard that part before.
And the last really experience that I had wasn't really didn't happen to me, but my fiance over in New Plymouth, Idaho, and it was strange. Nothing ever happened in the house there, but one night my dog Bo walked over to where she was sitting and started barking and growling and looking up on the wall. And I was in the bedroom at the time. I walked over and she's just like, what's going on? And he's barking and barking. And all of a sudden she feels a touch on her shoulder, like somebody pushed her shoulder down. And she started freaking out. And I said, in the name of Jesus, you are not wanted here. You get out of here. I don't know what you are, but you do not belong here. The dog stopped, and she felt okay. But that was the last time, and that was years ago, that I had any experiences. But you definitely call on Jesus, people out there. That's the remedy.
Yeah, no doubt.
And have them in your heart, though. See, they say that sometimes they'll say, who are you? if you don't have the Holy Spirit and don't have God really in your heart and believe, you could say it till you're blue in the face.
Yeah, and
it's not a
some people
magic
get
word.
confused too, that they think that the power's in them to do it. And Jude actually talks about that, how I think it's in Jude 9, Jude chapter 1. There's only one chapter, but where Michael the archangel was fighting over the bones of Moses, and it says that Michael dared not bring against Satan any reviling accusation, but instead he said, "The Lord rebuke you." So I think that's a real thing to do, that we really shouldn't think that we can, as a person, can rebuke any evil spirit. We need to do it through the name of Jesus every single time.
Yeah.
It's only Jesus and his power that can actually send these things away. Powerless against these entities. I mean, just completely powerless.
Yeah,
and it's only Jesus that can do anything to help us about those things. I mean, if angels can't do it, we definitely couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. No doubt. Well,
you have a couple songs.
Yeah, people have asked, does Genetix rap? Well, Genetix definitely raps, and in our early raps, we used to make raps all together, but when we created Destiny Lab, I don't know, you just thought you wanted to make the beats, and plus you weren't having the same journey as I was, researching all this stuff, and
well, we're not all blessed and could write songs as fast as you, to be quite honest. I mean, I still try to, and I just currently actually am trying to work on stuff, and I actually want you to come over because I'm a writer, but it takes me some time. But if you look at some of the biggest musicians, there's a team of people, and I want to, and it's a matter of time for us. You have a family, and everything. So I do want to work on some stuff in the future. I do have some older stuff that I did with my cousin. He does have this song here. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but like I said, back in the day, I did more songs like the Ronald Reagan rap. For instance, just silly things. And I was always an 80s man, an 80s person. And my cousin and I actually made a movie, believe it or not, that had a bunch of music videos. And this is one 80s man.
So you guys can hear this?
I can't hear anything yet.
I don't think it's playing yet.
Okay. Let me see if this will play or not. Because earlier I tried to play a song and it wouldn't.
Whenever you play music, it sounds like it's in the very, very back, or it's like going through your. It's not direct.
Is straight from YouTube, so I don't know what else to do here. But
no, I know.
Let's see if this will work or not.
That's actually a good one right there. Family Ties as well. That's one I did with my cousin and my son.
It's really low volume again.
You can't hear it?
No, it's
no. I like the video though.
No, it's great. You guys got to watch 80s Man by Bolivian, a crazy name that we used to go by. It really doesn't mean anything, but it's a well-written song. Like I said, it went to a movie that my cousin and I did, where we have to fight our alter egos, and somehow we get thrown into the 80s, and it's a crazy movie. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't hear anything.
Yeah, I can hear it on my end, but yeah, if you can't, I'll put a link here in the chat if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, put that one in Family Ties. That's another one. When you brought up 80s Man, it was up there on the right if they want to hear some of the older stuff. It's it's fun stuff. I do more serious, like I said, currently, but I can't just write as fast as Ark. That's
we used to do all this kind of fun stuff.
We used to do 4-on-4. Remember how it all started? the 4-on-4
exactly.
raps to where I said 4
Yeah.
lines and he'd say 4 lines and we go back, and that was like a thing of ours as well. So
Yeah,
like a rap battle.
Put in
Yeah.
a beat. We put in a beat and just let it flow, and then we just kind of build off each other. Flow.
Well,
off
we
each other,
drive down the
whatever,
street
so.
and we see a street sign, and then we, try to rhyme off that, or a person walking by with a red suit or whatever. It's crazy. I'm not as good as I was back in the day. It's freestyle. I'll admit that. So.
Yeah,
well,
those are the days.
Yeah, so I guess the music's not going to work, but yeah, there'll be links in there. I did want Nothing's New Under the Sun. It was always a favorite of mine that we put together. If you guys haven't heard that, it's an older one, but it's not as pure. It's not as Christian. It's more like looking at history and looking at some of the Antikythera mechanism and these things that have been made
it's definitely
way
Christian.
before.
That's a verse.
Well, it is
That's
Christian.
a verse from the Bible. Nothing's new under the sun.
No, it's but I mean, what you're talking about is more like a Discovery Channel rap.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of geared toward more of a wider audience. Just trying to bring people that are studying, researching the odd and the unusual, and things throughout time, like ancient technologies and stuff like that. But then realizing, nothing's really new under the sun. It's all been done before. If you look back throughout time,
exactly.
what you think is new, there's nothing really new. So we'll close out with that here at the end. Now, does anybody have any questions for Genetix, myself, or Neo? Now's the time. So if anybody has any questions, shoot it here. We can
appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope to be on more.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime. So, okay, I guess no questions in the chat that I'm seeing here. Is there anything else you had there on your notes you wanted to talk about, Genetix?
I think we covered it. I mean, I just I want to keep doing music, being a link in the chain. Like we've always said, it's the message, not the messengers. That's why we don't do a lot of videos with our mugs on it. I do. That's one thing. I do want to start making some new videos, which you can see us in. I want to start working on Revelation Unraveling. Lucy Renee wants to work on it with us, so that would be one that we want to, start putting out there. But I mean, it's a blessing how we met and what we do. And we're not the typical rappers. It's true. I mean, we did grow up on hip hop, but we were out in the streets and, all that crazy stuff. we do it for a reason. And like you said, from people to 70 to 90 to little kids, we want to have a message that brings people to Christ.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. No, that's always been the goal is to do this for God. That's why we called it Destiny Lab, is that we were destined to do it, not something that we set out to do on our own, but it was something like predetermined. It's kind of how we saw it, with all the things we went through and the way we met and how everything got set up. So we just give God all the glory, and that's why we going to keep making music, because we're not necessarily, we don't do it full time for a living. We do this to give back, and this is our ministry to give glory to God. So we just feel blessed to keep doing it, and glad that people actually dig it. So
yeah, and definitely, and I just want to give a shout out to all the listeners. I mean, we've had great listeners, great questions. I mean, somebody just put in there that got my interest going about Ron Wyatt and the Ark being hid directly below the cross on Golgotha. So I'd like to dig into that. So that's kind of a cool thing to see if that's, because Ron Wyatt seemed to be a guy that found a lot of cool stuff in the Middle East. So Emit Yahoo, I think, was the name of the guy in the chat that talked about that. So I'd like to dig into that.
Yeah.
Whatever you did differently, it sounds loud now. So
I think so. So
that's sharing an actual file from my computer, where before I was trying to share a YouTube video. So that's
we have to. That's the trick from now on. Let's never have this happen again.
Well, I know there's a way. There's supposed to be a way to share YouTube videos, but I must not doing something right. So we'll have to figure that out.
But hey, yay, we figured it out.
That's right. We get better every time we do these things. So
that's it.
Yeah, eventually we'll figure it out. So,
well, love you guys, everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I will try not to be so distant and get on and tackle these things that we do.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Until next time.
Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Archaeologic in the booth, and I'm digging for the truth through these fossil specimens, extinct like saber-tooth. A specialty consists in the study of anomalies, obscure archaeology of ancient societies who studied nature's geometries, made charts of stars called astronomy. This ingenuity repeated through history. Look at the Baghdad battery, the rudimentary, it produced electricity to electroplate metalworks and jewelry that adorn and enhance women's beauty. They had advanced technologies, astronomical astronomers without even the use of binoculars, architects and philosophers. Check the accuracy of the Mayan calendar, the library vaults of Alexandria, and all the grandeur and power of Rome, and the Sphinx and the pyramids hewn out of stone. Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Look at the feats and the wisdom of the ancient sky-watching astronaut like calculations for demonstration of incredible inventions. I'll mention the Antikythera mechanism, an instrument of precision, a remnant remains with fragmented inscriptions that help navigations and sea explorations, just as ambitious as our expeditions. Machines and mechanical robots, ingenious, exquisite devices like steam-powered engines existed before modern man had the vision, repeated and lost in historic revisions. Witness Archimedes' screw still twisting, pump water from the Nile like Egyptians. Evidence of master mathematicians, magicians who put David Blaine out of business. Blacksmiths and masons, artistic expressions with tools and techniques that surpass expectations. Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Nothing's new under the sun. Whatever we do, it's already been done. What? Original? Are you original? There's only one original. Mysteries lost to obscurity. Certainly interesting secret discoveries. Curious pieces, relics, antiquities, mummies whose wrappings are sacred and seen in museums. So we can interpret, investigate various theories, mysterious cities, arrangements of megalith monuments, tablets and documents burned by Theophilus, philosophies, prophecies of apocalypse, opulent palaces, golden sarcophagus haunted by jackals, deserted metropolis, biblical evidence, Old and New Testaments, ecclesiastical patterns are evident. Solomon said it, I only repeated that everything seemingly meaningless, cycles repeating, the seasons repeatedly colored in yellow and crimson, encrypted inscriptions, incredible visions that influence human decisions.